everyone. Welcome to the first day of Connections Week 2021. Happy New Year's to all of us. I'm Karina White, President of the Faculty Association here at Trinity River Campus. I would like to welcome you all, including our campus leaders, Dr. Madison, Dr. Mills, and Dr. Amon, and to extend a warm welcome to our colleagues from the Southeast Campus who are also joining us virtually as well. Welcome to all of you and Dr. Capola and Dr. Jackson. Last year was tough, and I am happy, probably you are too, to say goodbye to it, but we all rose together to face the challenges. We learned new technologies, we learned how to give our favorite lecture virtually, and we stayed flexible to meet our students' needs. The librarians across the district served our students' technology needs, and this semester we will continue to meet our students where they are. At this time, I'd like to introduce our special guest speaker today, Andy Masters. He will lead us in a spirited discussion on student engagement during COVID. Andy has presented professional development programs for faculty, staff, and students at over 350 colleges and educational conferences across North America, and served as keynote speaker for NISOD at the International Conference on Teaching and Leadership Excellence in Austin, Texas, where over 1,400 faculty and staff got to hear this great speaker. Andy has earned 4 degrees, including achieving distinguished graduate honors at Webster University, where he earned a master's degree in marketing and a second master's degree in human resources development. He is an award-winning author who has written 5 books, including 37 Keys to College Success, Life After College, and his latest book, Things Leaders Say. Coming to us from Orlando, Florida, where he now resides with his wife and 2 moderately well-behaved children, let's give a warm virtual welcome to Andy Masters. Andy, you're on mute.
Of course, it happens. There we go. Hey, thanks so much for inviting me in that awesome and humbling introduction. I was so excited to be invited by TCC. Of course, this is quite an esteemed college across the country, and of course, a large college as well. And so I'm glad to have so many of you on the line today and taking time out. And you know what? The first thing I'd like to share is we're going to make this a little interactive. We're going to actually have a full segment for questions, I believe, at the end. So make sure you put your questions in the chat box and those will be asked. But along the way, I'm actually going to be asking you to chat, not just for me, but to share with your peers any comments that you have, what's worked, what hasn't, or just anything you'd like to share. And so keep up with your chat box as well so you can see what your peers are up to during these times as well. So, of course, the first thing I like to do is just share one more, I guess, piece of background about me before we get started. I live in Orlando, Florida now, but I actually was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri. I lived there for 35 years. And I actually always like to ask this question because we live in such a transient society. If anyone out there is from St. Louis, boom, just stick it in the chat box right now. Put in Go Cards for Go Cardinals right now. If anyone is out there from St. Louis, and if not, then I'm actually from Missouri. So if anybody's heard of Missouri, then you can put in something from Missouri as well. So here's what I've got. I actually was. This is what I do. Okay, so I've had, oh goodness, the last 16 or so years, I actually present, or I had presented programs, and I've written 4 books. And gotten to present for over 250 U.S. colleges, over 100 community colleges as well. And so I've actually started presenting for students. So I had actually taught, as you might want to know why I'm here, I used to teach marketing, I used to teach business communications, business writing, public speaking, that arena. And then I wrote books and I started speaking to students across the country on college success, balancing your life, all these sorts of things, leadership. And then what happened really about 17, 19 years ago, I began to present programs for faculty on maybe how we can engage this generation better, how we can learn what makes them tick. That would be in person and online as well. And so I have some, hopefully some timely things to share with you. We're going to have a little bit of a roller coaster ride, as you'll see. There's some serious topics, there's some content, and then there's some fun stories I think that you'll get a kick out of as well. So first thing I'd like to say one more final thing about my background, because you might find this quite interesting. I would like to share that I had possibly the single worst high school experience of anyone on this line right now. And I want to prove it to you. I went to Parkway North High School in St. Louis. And I'm not going to go too deep into my experience there because this program's not about me, but I was that kid. I didn't have any cool friends. I didn't play sports. Nobody in my family had ever gone to college before. Okay, so high school was the furthest that anybody in my family had ever gotten. No brothers, sisters, cousins even had ever gone to college, and all that negativity led inside the classroom as well. When I'd like to share with you my junior year at Parkway North was none other than that was my grade point average. That is right. Now I'm gonna hurry up and get that off the screen if I can. And stop right there, because some of you might be thinking, now wait a second, didn't we just have this introduction that you were you were student body president, you've earned 4 degrees, you went to college, and went on to graduate school and all these sorts of things, you've written books on academic success to our students. Wait a second here. This doesn't make sense. How did you get from point A to point B? And that's what I'd like to share with my friends at TCC right now. I realized, after I brought my grades up a little bit my senior year, that all the other people in my high school, it seemed like, they were going off to 4-year colleges. And I didn't know what was out there for me. I felt like I didn't fit into the box that everybody else fit into. So I stumbled into an office at a community college just outside of St. Louis, Missouri. And there I wound up meeting 2 people that first semester. One faculty member and one staff member changed my life forever. You see, because they saw something inside me, and they saw something inside that 18-year-old kid that even that 18-year-old kid didn't see inside himself. And they said, you know what? Don't worry about the things that you're not good at in this world. There's lots of people that are not good at a lot of things. So what? But every single person has some talent or some passion or some favorite course that they like a lot. And every single person has something inside them to help make them great. And we see something in you. We know you can do it. We believe in you. And you can start your path right here to do anything you want right here at this college. Now sign up here on this April the 22nd, and let's get you rolling here, and let's get your butt to go together, and we're going to help you get there. And that's exactly what that 18, 19-year-old kid needed to hear. That there was a path for me, and that somebody believed in me, and was going to be there for me, and that I'm going to start an academic career and navigate my way into doing something that could be totally awesome someday. And that's what I wish for your students as well. But to end this introductory segment, I'd like to just share these next 2 slides on the screen for you. Thank you, Dr. Reichenbach. And thank you, Mrs. Nelson. And you know what? 20-something years later, one of your students from this semester that you're going to meet or e-meet in the next week might still be thanking you. So thanks in advance for what you do for your students, because I love these days where college can come up for air out of all the clutter and watching the news and all the things you need to do to prepare for this semester and the new challenges with online teaching. And you can just come up for air for a minute and realize something, that you make an amazing difference in the lives of your students. And I mean a life-changing difference. Please never lose sight of that. And hope that keeps your battery going for just a little bit when you hit those challenges on a daily basis. Now, I'd like to turn the corner to TCC. Now, I'm going to make this statement. It may or may not be correct. Who knows, you guys, somebody here could have still been teaching 50 years ago and run into some things. I don't know, but I'm just going to make this statement based on my conversations with your leadership there at TCC. This is the most challenging academic year ever for TCC to serve its students inside the classroom and out. Now, what I'd like to share with you now are simply 4 slides that I've put together for TCC. I'm going to shut up and not say a word. And please just watch the slides as they go along, and I'll come back to you when they're over here. And absolutely, I believe from the stories that I'm hearing and what I've heard from your administration about how much faculty have put into the challenges and to help students on an individual basis and overall just preparing for all the things that you've had to prepare for. I know there's much more examples in the first one of how you're changing the lives and they're going to remember you forever. But it is worth noting that, you know, I'll be completely honest here. If I was presenting this program in 2016 or 2011 or last year or 2 years ago, you know what? You can change lives and they'll remember you and so forth, hopefully, great. But here's what I do know. This is a different year. The 2021 academic year, your students will never forget. They will never forget the year. I remember the year that I was in college during COVID-19, and I remember all the things we went to, and they will remember you. And they'll remember TCC for the good, the bad, or the ugly, perhaps. So therefore, this is not the most challenging year. It's the most special year ever to teach students on your campus. I love this quote. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And this has never been more on the money than the times we're living in now. This is not just a situation of transferring information from your brain or a textbook to their brain. This is the year where we make a difference from really connecting with students, which is harder online, I get it, with engaging with students and making a difference in their lives even more than ever. And we have to make a transformation from just transferring information to letting them know we care first, because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Now, I wish I came up with this wisdom, but actually it was Teddy Roosevelt came up with that a long time ago, so go check him out on Wikipedia or something. He was awesome, all right? Now, I'd like to share this with you. This is just kind of a fun thing I learned. I actually do student service programs as well for staff about serving students and academic advising and all the departments that have on campus. That's a separate program, not for you today. But one slide that I do really agree with, and I thought that was fascinating that when I kind of came up with this years ago, is the word fine. You might have students your first day of class, and you know what, I'm fine. Everything is great. It's really, yeah, it's fine. Everything's fine. Okay. Some might not. Okay. But there's one thing I learned about the word fine. And when we say that we're fine, maybe someone, a family member of yours or someone that you meet in the grocery store, I don't care. And we're, oh, I'm fine. Here's what I've learned about the word fine. Fine stands for feelings I'm not expressing. Okay. Some of your students, a few, maybe one, maybe none, who knows, might openly express to you, I'm really struggling right now. I have problems in my life. I have problems with technology. I have problems in my personal life. I have problems with my health. I have problems with my finances. I have problems with depression. And they might reach out to you for that. And we'll get to how we can approach that. But just because they say that they're fine, hey, this is great. Yeah, I actually got 12 students in my session here. This is a great group. Yeah, they're all doing great. Please remember that FINE stands for feelings I'm not expressing, because it has been a long, long time since students have had so many challenges in their life. Because most of them usually do have challenges, right? I was a community college student once. I'm well aware that some of your students are single moms, victims of abuse, trying to work 2 jobs, have credit issues, don't know what they want to do with their life, just broke up with their boyfriend or girlfriend. You have non-traditional students, people that are 42 years old that lost their job. They're trying to get back in the industry, and they are all looking to you to help provide them what they need to turn their life around. So FINE stands for feelings I'm not expressing. Now, I'm going to throw it out to you for chat box. And this is absolutely just a quick little word association just from your gut. And this is not really for me to see. It's for you to type in and for your peers to also see. Real quick, don't think about it too long. Just put in 1 or 2 words. How are you feeling about the challenges of teaching during COVID-19? What are your instant 2-word reaction to that? 1 or 2 words. I'll give about 10, 15 seconds here just to see what you guys have to put in the chat box. Now, as you can see, there is a variety, okay? Many of you have a mix of all these emotions and so forth as well, okay? And so this is where I want to say something to you. You know, we are so student focused, and that's correct. That's what we should be doing. But now let's flip the rest of this program, because I'm going to guess that some of you on the line may not be fine. We shouldn't discount the fact that the people working at TCC, the people on this line trying to make these miracles happen, maybe you've had a loss in your family regarding COVID-19, or maybe you've had a spouse that has lost their job, or is a restaurant owner, or maybe you've been a victim or impacted by social injustice, or all these things that are going on right now. Maybe you have financial difficulties. Maybe you're stressed out and depressed. So there are people on the line right now that are trying to get through this, and you are experiencing great challenges in your life as well. And you know what is really cool is that, first of all, your administration that I've talked to absolutely realizes that this is the most challenging year ever for you to do your job. And I can tell you, and I'm not making this up, they're extremely grateful. They want to help you with resources in any way that they can to help get you through your difficult time of what you need to be doing this semester and beyond. Now, let's turn the corner to some positivity and solutions, okay? Let me share with you this. There is an incredible depth of resources at TCC to assist you and your students. Look, this is off the record a little bit. I've visited over 250 U.S. colleges. I've worked with over 100 community colleges, and I have gone to your website. I've gone through all of your resources. I've talked to your vice presidents of academic affairs, and what really struck me is 2 things. One, you don't have to carry that whole weight of having to change students' lives and fix their technology and help them learn and get through their depression and all these things that they have piled up. I know that kind of seems like that burden's on you because you're the only point of contact they have. But I promise you, the weight and that burden doesn't have to fall on you. I don't know if I have visited another college with more resources for faculty and students than you have right there. And in my experience, and I don't know, some of you might know these resources and you already use them on a daily, weekly basis, all right? But in my experience, almost every college I've seen and talked to say, yeah, we have these great resources and faculty don't use them enough, okay? And we're here for you. We have expertise. This is, whether it is technology or labs or curriculum, any of those sorts of things, there's people to help you. And we're going to go over those, what they are real quick in just a second, okay? But most importantly, take advantage of these resources. And that will, first of all, alleviate some of your stress and the burden that's all on you. There's help right there for you. Take advantage of these resources and encourage your students to take advantage of these resources for them. And I'm going to show you a list of both resources for you and your students so you can help your students help themselves, okay? Now, how about this list? We're not going to go too deep. Again, some of you might know this already, maybe not. Wow, I had no idea, okay? But this is what I was blown away by. Here's what's out there for you right now, right when we hang up on this line if you need to. First of all, there's the Engaged Learning Institute. You might previously have known that as the Active Learning Academy. There's the Center for Teaching and Learning. There's Learning Commons. There's supplemental instruction. And there's tutoring labs that are available. Now I have two more that are not on TC's campus, okay? And actually, let me go back a second. I'm gonna say something here. By the way, not only should you reach out and be using these and utilizing these to help, there's another bullet point I'd like to actually put on there, and that is absolutely using each other's brains. Your peers, your department should be coming together more, okay? What resources, what tricks, what website? Oh, I had no idea. Okay, great. Boom, now is the time, okay? Help each other. But how about outside of TCC? For instance, professional associations. I've presented at so many educational conferences, just a couple of them here. TAC, TYC, okay, that's the accounting teachers of 2-year colleges. And probably some of you on the line that are members of that group. There's NISOD, there's about 1,000 others based on what it is that you teach and your idea. So therefore, they all have newsletters, they have webinars. I know both of these do, online events, chat groups. So how can I communicate with other people who are teaching accounting, healthcare, culinary arts, and so forth, and be involved with that and get those tips and help from them as well, okay? On top of that, there's a number of these. Now, Faculty Focus and Inside Higher Ed, I really both enjoy those. They're great resources. Those are newsletters. They both have website. In fact, you can go to the website and even search the website. I'm having challenges with engaging students online. Here's a bunch of tips for that. And so there's articles and so forth. So there's really a plethora of resources available for you during these times. I want you to use them. I want you to know, most importantly, that you have help, you have resources. And if there's ever a time in your career to say, you know what, I am going to reach out this time because I'm a little bit struggling on this. Do it now, okay? Do it when we get off the call. Reach out, send an email to somebody, or go check out a website. Now, importantly, TCC resources for students during COVID-19. Watch what is all available for your students, because I know you have a great concern for your students. Your administration wanted to know how faculty could help students. Well, some of these might not be your area of expertise, but you have this expertise on campus. Academic advising, of course. How about this though? Your care team and counseling. So for personal issues, career issues, mental health issues, could be drugs and alcohol, depression, anything that your students, you might say that they might be struggling with. They have free resources available on campus. It is a phone call or an email away for them, okay? But further, there's labs and tutoring. There's the Smart Thinking Tutor 24/7. I thought that was so cool. Success coaches specifically, I believe for first-time students, okay? Supplemental instruction. There's tech support solely for students. Yeah, you're right. I have no idea how to fix that. Don't you get frustrated and you feel helpless trying to help a student? Great. Let's go ahead and check with tech support. And then I'm very familiar with Trio and Upward Bound at many colleges across the country, and they do great work on helping students navigate their path and getting through this entire thing. So the one point I want to make here is, and specifically as the first day of class comes up, you know, this is just a suggestion, but if I was teaching, I would say first day, okay, I would say, look, I know this is a tough time for everybody. We have challenges and all those things. And I know some of you might be dealing and struggling with technology to drug or alcohol abuse to depression to health, all financial things and so forth. If you're having these challenges, I want to show you this list right here. And in fact, even provide them with a website or phone number would be great, and have it so they can have it during the semester. I urge you, because these are free. They are ready to help TCC students. I would do that there. And then as you navigate through your semester, you might individually see or notice, or maybe a student would reach out for you and say, well, I'm just having this, here's my problem right now. And it goes outside the scope of your expertise. Then say, hey, once again, I think this would be great for you. Why don't I set you up, or why don't you send an email to, or here's the phone number for, okay? So let everybody know what's available to them first, and then keep that ready for any individual situations as you navigate through your semester. Now, crisis leads to forced innovation. Forced innovation. So as much as this might be, I don't know, frustrating or challenging or all these sorts of things, you know what? It's hard for you to see right now, but this is amazing. There are amazing things we can do with technology. And there's amazing things that we can now take, not just during this situation, but you will take on in your teaching for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years if you guys are still going to be teaching for that long, okay? Forced innovation is a great thing. We have now we've shortened that future time of all the cool things we can do in education to actually make it more effective, and things that you can keep in your back pocket even when you do go face to face, okay? So how about this? Let's go right into like a rapid fire list of tips before I get to some main principles, if you will, on simply online teaching tips. Again, some people on here, you might be a master at this stuff. You already know all these, and you know it even way past this. Others, oh, I've never thought of that before, and here's something you can try. Okay, so here's just a few things from different directions I'm going to share with you on tips for your online teaching this semester in COVID-19. Number one, I believe this. How about this? The first day of class. Ask students what they think worked well last semester for those that did online last semester here at TCC. And what would you like to see? Now, here's why I'm asking that. We think we might know what works, so I'll try this, or she said that worked, and so forth. Hold on. Perception is reality, and we want to know. Let's ask the students what they thought was engaging and what didn't work, okay? So, you know what? You can either tell me now the first course, the first day of the class, or drop me a line, you know, afterwards you don't feel comfortable. I really want to hear, and maybe they might say, oh yeah, you know, Mrs. Simmons in accounting, she did this. I thought that was great. Super. Now, ask them what worked, what they would like to see more of. But watch the second line here. What would you like to see, or maybe even see different, or see more of? Now, I wouldn't actually pose it of what didn't work, because all of a sudden you're going to get a venting and list of complaints, okay? But what would you like to see more of, or what would you like to see a little different? Well, you know what, last semester, my teacher, you know, my professor did this, and it dragged on, and nobody paid attention, and so forth. Well, you know what, it's painful. We probably need to hear that. So let's hear from the horse's mouth of what they found that kept them engaged last semester and what didn't. Ask them the first class. Boom. This is quick and easy. This is almost obvious, but allow students to lead online discussions and also rotate them, if you will. So instead of you shouting it out, or hey, let's have Kevin or Jamar. Boom. You go ahead and send your first. What do you think about this? And then everybody responds to Kevin. Okay, back and forth. And then, you know, obviously each course or each exercise, you can start rotating who's leading these sort of things. And as you'll see, there's a theme here in my programs of put the onus on students to engage each other, okay? I love group, and I know some of you can't get to groups if you're asynchronous, but I love group type exercises because you know what they're missing? They're missing interaction with other students. I mean, don't kid yourself. I mean, just people that talk the same way they do and think the same way they do. And so anytime we can engage them in that, that's great. So similar, utilize partners or teams for exercises whenever possible. I just think, for one, it's so obvious, but kind of keeps them awake. Make sure they're paying attention. Make sure they're not multitasking. All those sorts of things, which is a challenge. If you haven't already, of course, you basically beg them to not multitask while they're on screens, and it's so easy to do. You can't police it at all, but it is the best way for them to focus. That's the only screen they're dealing with that day is you. Boom. How about this one here? This might be a different one for you. Consider the new opportunities for guest speakers. Okay, so think about this. Let's say you're in health sciences, and in previous face-to-face years, we're going to have a good friend of mine. She is a supervisor at the nearby hospital. She's going to stop by our class and go through, and talk about what she does and some things that we're talking about right now. Fantastic, super, love those. They're great. Can't do it now, can we? Wait a second, are you kidding me? There has never been a greater period of time to make it easier for us to have guest speakers. Maybe you have a cousin who is an accountant in Buffalo, okay, and say, hey, is there any way you can jump online with us for 10 minutes and just share what it is you do, because you actually talk about these sorts of things and your experience with that'd be great, okay? So now maybe it's guest lecturers, okay? So maybe you have someone who teaches this exact same class. It's a friend that you have in North Carolina, okay? Well, guess what? She can come on, maybe do a whole session or maybe a segment of a session, and just to get a different face and voice besides just yours. And by the way, maybe you do a guest session for her course in North Carolina as well. So anywhere we can utilize this, use guest speakers and see if it could be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something they have to share about that, or swap with a teacher at a different college to share those things. Different faces, different voices are going to freshen things up, or they pay attention a little bit more. Of course, you probably figured this one out already, but switch gears more frequently, okay, versus long lecture. So 6 to 8 minutes, this is an art, not a science, but there have actually been some studies done on the attention span of students and even the attention span of anybody, and that could be as simple as you're talking, boom, put in some humor, which we'll get to in a little bit, boom, throw it out to a quick, okay, Kevin and Megan, what do you two think about that? I would love to hear what you have to say about this initial, 5-minute segment, whatever it might be, okay? And then maybe you can go on from there, or switch it up and do a video, pull back a PowerPoint, just do this. So switch gears more frequently versus what you might do for an entire course session if you were in person, okay? Virtual face-to-face is more effective whenever possible. Let me stop and say it might not be possible for what you teach. You might not do it. I just want to simply give you, there's 2 or 3 articles. In fact, one of them is on Faculty Focus, specifically about the impact of if they can see you and you can see them, or maybe they're doing a group. And in fact, tell them, hey, you were doing a group project the next 2 weeks. You two can go, I don't care what, you guys can go off and do a Zoom together. It doesn't matter, whatever. And as long as everybody agrees to it, we know, so somehow encouraging face-to-face does proven increase engagement. Now, important point to make. I want to make sure that that's voluntary for students. We have to be very careful because 1, it could be a technology issue, but 2, where they don't have a camera on what they're using and so forth. But it could be a comfortability issue. Students might be embarrassed about the background that they have. They might have an 8 in the morning class and they don't want to do with their hair and their makeup, or might feel self-conscious about something. So I would always say it's optional. Like, I encourage you to, but it's completely optional. something like that, and especially in a group setting, you guys can do the group as long as everyone is unanimous that you would like to do a Zoom face-to-face for your project. That is great. If you'd like to stick on, online, then this group can do that as well. Okay. So just want to make that important point. Great for engagement. Please be careful and don't make it a requirement. Be in constant communication with your peers on what works. Okay. So your departments, there should be constant chat, constant going back and forth. And sharing what works, and it might be something simple. Hey, here's a website I sent them. Here's a video that I showed. Here's a little team exercise that I had them do, and it was actually really got some great engagement out of it. I mean, whenever you have something that works, be done and then shoot it to somebody or post it or do something to share it. This should be the most shared academic year in history between you and your peers of what works and what doesn't. Okay. Now, let's take a deep breath. Remember, I know you probably have questions and all these sorts of things. We are going to do 15-minute questions at the end, and I'm going to keep rolling through. But I'm just taking a little take a little break here as well. That was, in fact, I'm going to go back to that slide. That was a few tips for online teaching. You know what I'm going to do? I've been talking a lot. So therefore, right now, if you have something that's one line sentence, maybe not a book, but a few words, one line or something, I'm going to shut up. We're going to take 30 to 60 seconds. Put out your one idea or a suggestion that works. That worked for you, that got some engagement last semester that you thought you'd like to share with your peers in the line. What worked? I'll shut up for 30 seconds. We'll come on back and turn the corner on this program. Ready and go. And please be sure, instead of just posting, that you're scrolling through and reading. In fact, got a couple of good ideas? Take a screenshot really quick of those ideas, okay? Or jot a couple down. Give it another 15, 20 seconds here. All right, fantastic. Thanks so much for sharing. Take those to heart. Hopefully between this slide, ideas that are already in the brains of your peers, that can help out. It can really help you out, okay? All right. Now, we're going to turn the corner. And I mean, when I say turn the corner, we're going to turn the corner. We are turning the corner. I'm going to give you the case for positivity here and what this means to you in your role as a faculty member this semester, okay? The case for positivity. Frankly, the pink elephant in the room is there is doom and gloom everywhere. Is there not? Okay. There's doom and gloom everywhere. And I do believe this, though. I believe psychologically, this is a much better semester to teach than last semester. Okay. So maybe have a little bit of fun with it. In fact, there are tons of cool, memes. Some have to do, students' education and so forth. But just the fact of we are going from 2020 to 2021, and all the really kind of funny things of like, oh, thank God that's over with, and so forth. There is, and I believe the human spirit is resilient. I really believe the human spirit is positive in a natural sense, unless we have a reason to not be positive. We have a lot of reasons to not be positive, but your students are looking to you. They are. I think that outlook and positivity and attitude matters. And so we have a new year, folks. This is exciting. And by the way, a lot of the kinks that we had from last year with online learning, and a lot of things that we learned about what works and what doesn't, a lot of things that you learned that help you with your studying, we finally have hit 2021. It's going to be a better year. I'm excited to be here teaching for everybody. And so, boom, be positive about it and even be funny about it as well. We'll get to humor at the end, but even if it's a funny, meme or picture, anything about going from 20 to 2021, and share that with them and say, all right, yeah, let's turn the corner. All right, let's turn the corner and let's do this. Let's me and you do this together here at TCC and have a great semester, okay? Yeah. You have to be the facilitator and the igniter of going from stressed and depressed to lucky and blessed. Because we don't know what their home life is like. We don't know what their life is like at work if they have a job, which some do. We don't know what their life is like with their friends or their boyfriend or girlfriend or their spouse or whoever. It could be doom and gloom. And you know what? TCC just might be their haven. Maybe that hour and 15 minutes that they're with you on Tuesday and Thursday or Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, that might be the highlight of their week. I want them to look forward to sharing time with you. I want them to look forward to learning about your subject with you, okay? And I think you can set the tone the first 5 minutes of the first class of the semester. Say, let's do this thing together. Let's have a great year. Now, I like to, now you were talking about turn the corner. I want none of your students with an attitude like this right here when they're sitting at home or in their kitchen or wherever they're at, okay? And I want more students looking like this at 8 o'clock in the morning whenever, boom, I can't wait to be online. I can't wait to do it, okay? So one of the things I just share is one reason why students fail or underachieve is because they're disinterested in their subject or their career path or don't see the connection between today's lesson and what they would really love to do someday. So this is I'm going to do, just to give you a heads up, I'm going to do a few larger principles here about engaging today's students online and in the classroom, okay? Okay, this first segment has to do with career relevancy or closing the career relevancy gap. We're also going to talk about pop culture references, technology in the classroom, humor in the classroom. Then I am done and we make it to questions. Everybody clear? Here we go. One reason why students fail or underachieve is because they're disinterested in their subjects or their career path, or don't see the connection between today's lesson and what they would really love to do someday. So I really believe it's not your job, it's not even your job description, but if we really want to change lives and make a difference and have students engaged in what you're talking about, I really believe we should get them excited about this career path, excited about this degree program that you know about, excited about your industry, okay? In fact, if I go back a second here to this baby, I really believe there's two types of students out there. And one type of student, they don't know what they want to do with their life. And they're just checking out your class. They're just checking it out. They might go into nursing, they might not. They might go into accounting, they might not. They're checking it out. Yeah, maybe I'll check out this path. I don't know. Okay? They're seeing what it's about. And they might think, you know what, I might go into this, or I might just, go actually work full time at Home Depot instead of just part time, or who knows, I'm just checking this thing out. And there's another type of student that knows what they want to do, that they're excited about the subject, excited about the industry they're studying, they're excited about their career path future, and they say, wow, no way, this is awesome, okay? And they're logged in and ready to go like this guy right here, okay? So when we go back to this, I want to share with you two quotes that I also share with students as well. One of them you might have heard before, the other one probably not. The first one is from my favorite ancient Chinese philosopher named Confucius. He said this over 3,000 years ago, okay? He said, if you find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And the second quote is from an author named Mark Sanborn out in Colorado. He said that the greatest moment of anybody's life is not just the day they were born, but the day they realized why they were born. Now, I thought that was really important and something that I wish for your students, because big picture, you might be the spark. You might just give one example in class of someone who does something cool. Wow, I had no idea somebody could do that for a living. That is so cool. I would love to do that. Tell me more. And that engaged student, that student that's interested in your class and believes that they might have a future here, those are the ones that are going to actually log in on time, okay? They're going to pay attention. They're going to engage more. They're going to do better on the test because they say, wow, this could be for me. That looks totally awesome. And so if we can create some excitement and enthusiasm and passion and share your passion with them about what it is you teach, the better we can do that, the more excited they'll be about attending your class. And hopefully that will lead to engagement and retention and graduation. Now, easier said than done. So let me give you a couple tricks here. One of the number one things that I used to do when I talk to students about career path and all these sorts of things is I would go to colleges, and by the way, especially community colleges, and it would be very difficult for me to get stumped in the sense of I could have a success story of a cool, awesome career that you can get for signing up for that class and taking that class this semester and going on and doing it the rest of your life. So what do I mean by that? Okay, in every single degree field, there are cool, awesome, unique examples of people that have done really great things that they can go, wow, that is awesome. And here's what it is. I'm going to just get crazy on this one. You ready? Boom, Guy Fieri, Culinary Arts. Okay, we know from Food Network, NBC, all these sorts of things. Well, he's made, kids grew up, we didn't know him since he was 6 years old. Kids grew up saying, well, this guy's pretty cool. This guy actually made food and cooking cool, okay, over the past 15, 20 years. And so people are like, wow, this, why can't I have my own, chili cook-off contest? Or why can't I write my own book, like Healthy Eating for College Students? Or why couldn't I have my own show on the Food Network? That'd be totally awesome someday. And before it was, hey, if you want to be a chef, here's what you do. And being a chef is cool. But they didn't realize the amazing opportunities that are out there in the world of culinary arts because they got excited from success stories of different cool, awesome things you could do. And said, wow, I had no idea I could do that for a living. That is awesome. Tell me more. And that has encouraged more people, by the way, to sign up for this degree program and hopefully pay attention in retention and graduation. Okay. Now, just to take, because I know you have culinary arts there, I checked on your website. Hello, culinary arts professors, if you're on the line with us today. How about this? This is a real example, okay? It's called Inspire Students Through Cool and Young Success Stories, okay? So, what am I talking about? This is different than a celebrity, right? This is directly from an article from Men's Journal magazine, and the article was the 50 greatest dream jobs, and here's how you can get one, okay? Pretty cool article. In fact, I wish I read that when I was in college, all right? So, here's a picture of an example. One of the 50 greatest dream jobs, and here you can get one. So, this person in this picture is working right now. Now, I'm not actually talking about the female individual on the bicycle. I am talking about the guy on the left. He is working. Now, what do you mean he's working, Andy? He looks like he's just some guy sitting there eating ice cream. Well, that's because he is just sitting there eating ice cream. In fact, this guy is working right now. He actually works for Ben & Jerry's. And his official job title, if you checked out his business card, is he works at Ben & Jerry's, and the official job title is ice cream taster, okay? Yeah, that's actually what he does for a living. He actually goes from cart to cart, from airport to airport, from mall to mall, and goes to Ben & Jerry's stores and goes, oh, it tasted pretty good. Oh, that was a little bitter, okay? And he sends the reports back to the home office to make sure it's fresh and everything. Yeah, he actually gets paid to eat ice cream for a living, okay? Now, you might be saying, okay, this is crazy, this is wacky, this is a ridiculous example. Well, guess what? Especially my culinary arts friends might know, there are professional tasters with culinary arts backgrounds in all these different fields. There's people that go to restaurants and grocery stores, and their job is to taste the food and make sure it's okay, and they get in the laptop and they send it back to the home office. That's what they do, is taste food and even taste ice cream for a living. Okay, so this is one cool and neat example, but I mean, seriously, it still seems kind of crazy, man. How much should somebody actually make, tasting ice cream for a living? Well, according to this article, the actual starting salary for ice cream tasters at Ben & Jerry's is between $40,000 and $90,000 a year to taste ice cream for a living. Yes, I know that there might be some resumes on the street this weekend, I believe, okay? And that is true. Now, what is amazing is this. I'd like to share this with you, okay? All of us have had this experience in life, I believe, where you've stumbled into somebody, and maybe it's your cousin or next door neighbor, or just been talking to somebody, or maybe it's an example you saw on TV, and that's fine. And we all like stopped ourselves in our track and said, "Wait a second, you're kidding me! Like, how does somebody get a job doing that for a living, right? I mean, seriously. I mean, you're the scuba diving instructor at the Ritz-Carlton in Hawaii. I mean, seriously, how did you get that job? That's awesome. Okay, wait a second. You're a traveling nurse, and you actually take people on trips to the Grand Canyon and all these sorts of things, and they pay you how much to go do that? That is crazy. How did you get a job doing that for a living? Wait a second. You're the social media director for 4 different companies. You actually just sit at home and respond to Facebook posts and see what complaints come up, and that's all you do? How does somebody get to do that for a living? And you know what I say to all of your college students is, why can't that be you? For every cool, awesome career that's out there, there's a career path to get there. And you know what? If we back up that path, all you need to do is start classes on January the 19th or August the 22nd, and you can do that as well. Of course, by the way, you have to turn in the project that's due on Friday as well. Okay, that'll get you on track. So we need to be, I think, great at having our radar on of sharing examples of what things that you can do, and say, by the way, in chapter 14, we're talking about, there are people that are actually do that for a living. In fact, I went on the internet, and here's one of them right here. Or I know someone, my cousin in North Carolina actually does this for a living, and put their picture on the screen, or even have them, stop by virtually in class. Okay. Now, I want to share with you mildly, maybe even controversial point, or this is higher education. You don't have to all agree with me on this one. But when I was keynote speaker for the NISI convention not far away in Austin, I challenged community colleges because I said, look, if you want to get students excited to come to your school and you want to get them excited to stay in class, then we have to flip the way that we sell students on this. We're basically telling students that, you know what, if you sign up for this program, now watch this. If you sign up for this program, this degree program, okay, and you take this course and that course and that course, and you study and you take online tests and pay attention, I'll take all these classes for the next 2 years or 4 years or 5 years, right? For the next 2, 4, 5 years, someday you can get a job. Now, that sounds correct to you and I. That's one of the things that community colleges are great at, is understanding what is needed in the community and employers, what types of positions, and then feeding that workforce through our degree programs, right? Makes total sense to you and I. Here's the problem. Their idea of getting a job is sweeping the floors at 11 o'clock at night at Dairy Queen, and they're thinking, wow, this is work. You mean, wait a second, I'm a single mom with a kid, I'm working 2 jobs, I've got this technology stuff going on, and if I work hard for 5 years, then I can get a job? I think that's the wrong mindset. What we need to do is, there are amazing career opportunities for you, something that you're passionate about, you're excited about, that fits what you want to do, and anything in the world that you want to do, you can get your start right here at TCC, starting on January 19th or August the 22nd or whatever it is, okay? And by the way, turn in that test by, or turn in that project by this Friday, and you can do this too. So let's keep our radar open of what cool, awesome things are available, okay, in your degree field, and inspire them of the cool, awesome things they can do when they get out of college. One other example that I'm going to turn the corner down the final stretch of the program. Inspire students through cool career success stories. Okay, I have this is a fun one, and it's from Texas. Okay, so I did this program for students. I presented for the students in the morning, the faculty in the afternoon. One of the students came up to me after class and said, you know that example you put up from the Discovery Channel? I said, sure. He said, I just had a question, for you. And I said, yeah, great. What's your question? And And I said, actually, real quick, what's your major here, or what are you studying? And his body language just kind of slumped a little bit. And he said, well, right now I'm like studying accounting. And I said, you don't seem like you're too excited about that. Okay, so why are you studying accounting? He goes, well, because my dad said there'd be a bunch of jobs out there, someday when I get done. I said, now let me freeze it for my accounting friends out there. Don't misquote me. If a student loves math, is good at math, and they want to be a CPA, you go be the best damn CPA that you can possibly be, right? So this particular student, though, I didn't see the spark in his eyes. So I said, okay, so, what is it you like to do in this world? And he goes, the only thing I really want to do is to make like these 10-minute videos and put them on YouTube and TikTok and stuff. Well, that's great. Okay. Okay, cool. So I'm sorry. So what's your question, man? He goes, well, yeah, when you put up that Discovery Channel example, I've always wondered, how does somebody get to be the underwater videographer on the Discovery Channel during Shark Week? All right. Now, and I was like, okay. So now, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but my life just froze a little bit. And so I jumped out of my body, had this out-of-body experience, and I said, okay, if I talk this student out of going into accounting and pursuing underwater videographer during Shark Week, I'm going to get some serious hate mail from his parents, right? So, but if you don't know me yet, I said, what the heck, because you got to chase your passion, right? And so I had a brainstorm with this student of, here's what websites you can go to. If you went to National Geographic and TLC and all these travel channels, look for the credits to scroll up. Maybe those people have websites. Maybe you can drop them a line on Facebook or Instagram or something like that. And what if you went to your career counseling advisor and did this? And so, and we had a brainstorm. And he said, well, you know what? I actually thought that maybe I could transfer my credits after I get my 2-year degree. I could maybe take a double major between AV and marine biology at UT Brownsville. And I said, I think that's a great idea, man. Go for it. And unfortunately, I will tell you that, one of the things that I do is I have to leave the next day. And I didn't get a chance to see it. But I'm going to guess that next morning, that student was on time to his class, face-to-face or online. He was ready to go. He had his laptop ready, and he was sitting in the front of class, and he had his eyes wide open and said, you know what do you got for me today, teacher? Because I think I know what I want to do in this world. And I know I have to teach, I have to pass your class and the class after it and the class after it. And then I'm going to transfer my credits and I'm going to go do this because it's what I really want to do. So you never know what one example can spark a student with. 3 quick things for you here. Number 1, you might be thinking, well, how passionate can somebody get about accounting? How passionate can somebody get about I have something boring, okay? But wait a second. How can we combine their love with your subject matter? For instance, this is someone who, this is a cat, but this is an example of someone who is a good friend of mine who was in marketing. But you know what his real love was? Pets, okay? So he got a job working for Nestle Purina in St. Louis, Missouri. So guess what? You can give these examples of, what are you into? Oh, do you like sports? Do you like working with kids? Do you like the outdoors? Do you like entertainment? Do you like travel? Do you like animals? Well, guess what? All of these companies need accounting. So you can get inside these inside these companies and apply these skills and get a great job doing something that you love someday. So did you catch that? You can combine your degree program with whatever that specific student likes or is interested in, and then get a job doing anything that they want and get excited about going to your class and learning and getting to that finish line instead of, oh man, this is just work just to get a job someday. And that's just going to be more work. Okay. So these are 2 quick resources. Nobody ever told me this. This is just an example, but jobsinsports.com. If you go to jobsinsports.com, maybe you have students that like sports. I'm sure some of them do, not all of them. If you went to jobsinsports.com right now, they need people in accounting, communications, marketing, IT, all these sorts of things. You can get a job working for either sports teams or arenas and all these sorts. There's a lot of jobs out there. It's just on the website last night. How cool is that? So if you think you have something boring, a degree program that might be boring, you can apply it at so many different levels, okay, towards their interest. And lastly, how about Hire Me Hollywood? Maybe they want to work in movies or TV or entertainment. Well, guess what? They all need accounting and communications and psychology and all these sorts of things. And by the way, it even tells you how if they want to be a pyrotechnic, okay, that you can blow things up and they can build things as well. And it shows you how to specifically take whatever degree program that you get and how to get a job in Hollywood doing that. I mean, it's such cool resources out there to get our students excited about the degree programs at TCC and get them excited and engaged in your class by closing that career relevancy gap. And you could be the one to provide the spark that could change somebody's life forever. Now, I promised I would also get to a couple of others, just a couple of pop culture references before my favorite topic to end on, okay? Pop culture references relevant to learning. Boom. First of all, we have everything at our disposal nowadays. Anything that you've seen on TV, movies, a commercial that might have been relevant. Oh my gosh, I wish my students would have seen that last night. That would have been great. Well, they can. Get it on YouTube or go to their, the website and say, how'd you want to play this for you real quick? Because this commercial is just about what we talked about in chapter 14, right? So then hit play and check it out. Certainly some of you use videos and that's great, but always keep your eyes open on what's trending on Twitter. What's the #1 song that's out, or who just won the Grammy Awards or whatever. You don't have to be an expert, just stick it in Google. And find ways to intentionally, what is one thing during this entire course session, 90 minutes or whatever, that might have to do with something that's going on in the world right now. Anytime we can pull these in, it's a little more engagement, a little more exciting, and gets the students talking, right? Here's just two really quick, because I used to teach what? I used to teach public speaking and marketing and business communications. So I used to use as absolute examples, and this is a great one for boom, public speaking. Look at this, my man Steve Harvey, right? Look at the posture, those smiles. There's so many great things he does as an engaging presenter. And so I would use that. I would say, hey, did you see the episode last night? Watch this specifically what he does. He only says one line and watch what he does. Okay, boom. Marketing, I love this one as well. Some people think that this is a racing NASCAR movie. No way. It is a marketing movie. Talladega Nights, The Legend of Ricky Bobby, with all the sponsorships and things in the cars and product placement for those of my marketing friends out there. You could do an entire course referencing just this movie all the way through, and the students loved it. They laughed. They got a kick out of it, and it just engaged them a little bit more versus working obviously out of a book or whatnot. Boom. Of course, you can do an entire week session on technology in the classroom and apps and so forth. I wanted to share with you one point, okay? First of all, just apps, and this is so easy. Some people out there are tech savvy and you get it. Many of you may not be. I want to promise you something with this and humor, okay, in just a second. You do not have to be a tech wizard at all to sprinkle in some technology or that's relevant to learning and not be intimidated by it. You can share with these students. In fact, it's really easy. So for almost anything that's out there in the world of what you're teaching, there's apps for it, okay? So culinary, I just checked last night again, I've done culinary arts. There's actually several apps for culinary arts students or people that are learning to cook or whatever. And there's a couple of them that actually have videos and specifically how to cut certain things. I'm not in culinary arts, but and so you have videos. So those are something that you can draw from. But if you just actually went to class, and even if you knew nothing about technology, if you just went to Google, and put in psychology apps, okay, or marketing apps or whatever it might be, culinary arts apps, and see what pops up. And you just started class like, hey, before we go on today, I just wanted to share with you this app you can download where you can download all your favorite recipes, onto your iPhone or your phone. for free, and it gives you videos of how to actually do it or whatnot. Okay, so I wanted to share that before we get started. Okay, now if you only did that, all of a sudden it's like, yeah, that was actually pretty cool. I might actually go check that out, or sprinkle it into making it relevant to chapter 14 or whatever. Slowly but surely, between guest, everything we talk about, from guest speakers, online discussions, career examples, technology tips, pop culture references, you now have a lot of things at your disposal to sprinkle in. It doesn't have to overload it, but you have things to sprinkle in to keep their attention, keep them engaged, and that's what we want. Okay. Last segment I have for you before we're going to turn it over to questions, and I want to stop just for a second. Because again, please chat into the chat box. If I'm talking about this stuff and you go, oh, here's another great resource. Oh, here's something that I did. Do it, do it, do it. I'm only one brain here, and people want to see what is going on with their peers at TCC. And then also keep your eye on the chat box so you can catch ideas as well while I'm talking. Okay, because you put all of your faculty members, all those brains together. It is an explosion of information beyond just what's in my one brain and what's on my PowerPoint here. So please, let's help each other. Okay, so now we're gonna get my favorite stuff here. I always like to end on positive notes. Yes, I do an entire program called Humor in the Classroom, not just how, but why. Maybe I can come back someday in person and meet some of you next time. And it's also a real interactive program as well on humor in the classroom for my faculty friends across the country. So obviously I don't have time for that entire program, but maybe I can give you a quick 5 minutes here of something that can specifically help you online this semester. And I want to promise you something. You do not have to be funny to do this. So here's what I hear. I give, by the way, I will give you research in the longer program of studies from the University of Iowa State University, Johns Hopkins, University of Missouri, on the specific dramatic increase in cognitive retention, class attendance, literally test grades, all these impacts if the professor includes or sprinkles in humor in the classroom. It is scientifically proven to be a powerful learning tool. But here's what I hear from some of my faculty friends across the country. Okay, I hear this. What if I'm not that funny, Andy? This all sounds great. Yeah, I've seen that before. So, it's important, but, I'm not that funny. So if you've ever tried to tell a joke or just, a quick funny quip on chapter 11 or whatever, and the response from students, either online or in person, was something like this. Oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me. Did he really just say that? That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, okay? Don't worry, I'm here to help. The number one easiest things, and a number of you do this already, but probably the funny ones, okay? The number one thing is that I use is simply called visual enhancers, okay? And I've done it already a couple times this program. Now just watch this slide, and we're going to talk about this slide. Visual enhancers. So let's say I do programs on career, time management, those sorts of things, and I've just put up this slide here about casual dress and so forth, okay? Deborah Jackson says she likes shopping at the Dollar Palace because it's convenient and casual. I don't have to get all dressed up like I'm going to Walmart or something, okay? I mean, seriously, is this the point we've gotten to in this world, okay? Now, I'm not there to see it, unfortunately, but I'm going to guess out of, hundreds of people hopefully on the line, there's people out there to laugh. When I do this in person, people definitely laugh. It's just a funny example. Important point. I did not have to be funny at all to make people laugh. All I did was put a slide on the screen, and people out there chuckled, thought it was funny. Maybe like, oh, I gotta download that. I gotta do a screen save on that one. That's pretty funny. Okay, that's right. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's so much funny in your discipline already. That's right. There's funny in accounting. There's funny in health sciences. There's funny in culinary arts. There's funny in everything that you teach. So here, this is so easy. It's like cheating, ladies and gentlemen. Watch this. If you just went to Google Images or YouTube and simply put in accounting funny, math funny, nursing funny. You're gonna get some crazy stuff on that one, okay? If you put anything you teach plus funny, or just one, maybe it's just one chapter that you're teaching, one segment that you're teaching, and you think it's a little bland, a little boring, a little long, and you're a little stumped on, I don't know how to make this one interactive or funny at all. Boom, go into Google Images, YouTube, and simply put in whatever the title is plus funny and see what pops up. It's so easy. It's like cheating. You can do this. You can do it. And put it on the screen or include it in your PowerPoint. All right. Here's just a few other ones, and then I got a final final treat for you guys at the end. Okay. Here we go. You can also use Google Alerts if you use those as well. Okay. This is my funny people that work at the Florida Department of Transportation. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Appreciate that. And boom, this is great for, of course, our faculty members out there. Warning, due dates are closer than they appear. You know, it's okay to be funny, okay? So make that as an attachment or put it up as well. Like, of course, yes, these are due Friday. Like, boom, and then a giant sign says, yes, Friday, due dates are closer than they appear. And it's just like, it is, by the way, it's, again, psychologically proven. If you connect humor to the point you're trying to make, they will remember it better, okay? Boom, teacher in a bad mood. Just be funny, put that up in the first slide, all right? Just, before we get started, just wanted to let you know, okay? So, I mean, I'll get a quick chuckle out of it. It's so easy, okay? Now, how about degree program specific? Healthcare, you betcha, okay? This is my doctor's office here in Orlando. I love these guys. It's so funny, I went in and one day they had these shirts on and I was like, you guys are great. Is there any way I can take a picture of that? That is fantastic. And they both stood up and go, oh, okay, sure. Little did they know that over 50,000 people across the country would see them in these shirts, okay? So, but, so healthcare 1, here's healthcare number 2. Yes, I don't think so. And then finally, healthcare number 3, Viagra is not for newborns. Thank you so much for the attorneys out there that have to justify their time and their billing, okay? Now, that is basically it for me, but certainly 2 heads are better than 1. We're going to do questions in like 1 minute, okay? However, I'm simply going to shut up because I actually want to hear and put in the chat box. If there's one thing that you do or one thing that you utilize to make it a positive experience or humor in the classroom, especially online, maybe some of these ideas cool, okay? Just put it in there in the next 30 seconds. I want to make sure that your peers get a chance to see what do you do, maybe to make it just a little more fun of a classroom experience. 30 seconds, I'll shut up and do that, then I'll finish up the program. We'll do questions. Ready and go. And again, this is share with your peers, share with your department, share with other professors that you know across the country. Go to Google and put in humor in the classroom tips or ideas. These are really easy. You don't have to be a hilarious person to do these things at all. Give it a shot this semester. Ladies and gentlemen, my time speaking here is almost done. I simply want to end with this note, is that, again, this is the most challenging year ever to teach at TCC. I recognize that your administrators who truly care about you and your success know that. And remember that this is the one year that your students are going to remember the rest of their life. They will always remember how they were treated and how they were taught during that year of COVID-19. So use all these examples that I've given from online tips, from tips that your peers have. Use your resources at TCC. Use fun career examples to get excited about what you teach. Use humor in the classroom, pop culture and technology examples in the classroom, and hopefully we provided you with some ammunition today to make you feel more empowered to have a great semester this semester not just for your students, but also for you. I want you to love your job. Hey, thanks so much. My name is Andy Masters, and I will turn it back over to any questions that we might have for the last few minutes here. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mr. Masters. If you have any questions, please post those in the Q&A section of the live event, and we'll publish them as they come up. We've had a lot of great comments so far, too.
Super. I don't know if there was any questions along the way as I was talking as well. I'm happy to chat or clarify anything.
I didn't see any, but if someone did submit a question that may have flown by, if you will resubmit the question.
Yeah. And if you were wanted to wait for just a minute, were there any? Did you find that there was any good ideas that you'd want to kind of rattle off, or just things that people might have chatted in that you wanted to share with the group?
Yes, we've had a couple of good suggestions. I know there's been a lot about using memes. Some comments about having students include pictures of their, we'll say, at-home student colleagues, their pets and children, and making the environment personal.
Great, absolutely.
Okay, we have a question. Any simple rules of thumb that you can suggest to prevent, it says human is awesome, but it can go wrong in many ways. Any simple rules of thumb that you can suggest to prevent that?
Well, I think, one, expressing the guidelines to students, because they might think, oh, I'm going to share funny things, or I'm going to joke it up in a group project and so forth, and understanding, what is appropriate versus what is not appropriate. Certainly, it's funny because you mentioned that, because in my longer program on humor in the classroom, I have 2 full slides about specifically what we want to encourage you. 2 things that you're always looking for is, 1, make it relevant to learning. In other words, trying to start class with, hey, did you hear about the priest, the rabbi, and the monkey that walked into a bar is not what we're looking for, okay? You always want to attach humor with something specific to your topic. But secondly, is make sure that and it sounds obvious, but you would not believe what I've heard out there. Don't make the student the butt of a joke, okay? Oh, yeah, that's great. Well, just like, Carol and, her dog, or that dress that she's got in the background, of course, you never want to do that. So making sure that you are very careful about not offending and being offensive to anyone, of course, cursing or any of those sorts of things. But if you can communicate that as well, so that they know that they can have humor in an appropriate environment as well. So it is tricky nowadays. It is tricky, but just make sure you're it's careful, appropriate, and relevant humor is what we're looking for.
Okay, another question. What is the best way to connect to failing students?
Yeah, well, that's a deep topic. And so I think number 1, the first thing that jumps out, honestly, is those resources that TCC, that I am telling you, I don't say this at every college for sure. I saw a number I mean, you can go, from trio all the way up on that list and say, hey, I know you might be struggling. Here's a great resource for you. Here's additional tutoring. Here's 24/7 we have and so forth that is best for your schedule. And I would say this is where I want to kind of hand off the expertise to TCC, and the fact that I'm curious, or would be curious to share with the person asking that question, is what is the best way to introduce your services to that student? It might be a little much to CC someone in on an email or have someone reach out to that student. I don't know, but the number one thing I really believe is you've got to those people, they have expertise even beyond what you and I have on just their job of helping students that are failing, challenged, have mental health issues, whatever it might be. That's what they've gone to school for. That's what they're getting quote unquote paid to do. Help them help you. Help them help you, and let the students know that those are available.
I think we have time for one more question. What are some of the ways teachers can be vulnerable with their students in building trust?
Yeah, I love that. It's funny. I'll be honest with you. I use that exact point, if you will, in humor in the classroom. Look, you know what I believe? They might not say it. In fact, they won't say it. Your students, they want to know about you. Okay, they really do. Maybe they want to know what pet you have. I think it is great to break down walls to say, I know this about, by the way, here's my daughter's guinea pig, here's my cat, whatever it might be, or what did you do on your last vacation? Was always a good one, but that was pre-COVID, and what about when you were in that? Because most, not all, most, I would guess, who teach there, we're in the industry at some point, okay? So what was your experience? In fact, in humor in the classroom, what was the funniest thing that ever happened to you when you were a nurse? I'm serious. Like, what was the funniest thing that ever happened to you when you were a nurse? Or when you were in culinary arts? What was the biggest mistake that you made and the oven blew up and so forth? These are things that's called self-deprecating humor, but also it has to do with their what you're teaching in the degree program there. So open up. I absolutely believe, yes, it is okay to open up and let them learn about you as a person. They want to have that bond and that relationship versus quote unquote learning from a robot or just from a book or from a computer. They want to know that they're learning from a person. And last thing is, and I know this sounds crazy, I go deeper into this and humor in the classroom, but is it important for them to like you? Incredibly deep philosophical conversation. You guys can argue with it at some point. I don't think it's a requirement, but I would say I would love to have people say, "Oh yeah, you ought to take Andy Mazur's class. Yeah, it was great. It was fun. It was engaging. I really like that guy." Is it important? Again, you can argue about it and have a debate, but if there's some kind of a bond, there's a reason why students don't log in that day. Yeah, I know it might be time, life, and so forth, but at some point they're making a conscious decision of, man, am I going to log in today, or am I going to drive into class today? Oh, no. Or they're going to go, man, am I going to log in that today? Yeah, I'm going to see what he has to say, okay, because I like the guy. It can make a difference. There's a powerful difference in creating that bond where they get to know you a little bit. So I'm all for it. I think it's great.
Okay, I think that concludes the question and answer, the time that we have for the question and answer sessions. Thank you, Mr. Masters. I'm going to throw this over to Dr. Downs to wrap up our session.
I just want to thank Andy. That was a very lively and inspiring presentation. Lots of really good tips and strategies. It is very challenging, as we all know, to somehow reach people through these screens. But those are lots of good tips and suggestions. We really appreciate that. I would just echo that the being vulnerable. If you'll be a little vulnerable with them, they'll open up and be vulnerable with you, and that's where you can really, again, encourage and inspire and make those connections we all strive for. So I just want to thank you very much for the great presentation. I think now, as we are about to wrap up, Trinity River, you folks will go off in one direction and the Southeast folks will go off in another direction. I believe that the links are coming up here in just a moment. I'm not actually sure if these are these actually links that they can click on, or I think you have to pop out of the presentation. But again, just want to thank everybody for your participation, great questions, comments, suggestions. It was great coming together here on this first encounter of Connections Week, and we wish you guys all the best. Have a great semester, and I'm sure we'll see lots of you in other meetings throughout the whole week. Thanks again, Andy. It's wonderful speaking with you today.
Absolutely. Have a great semester, everybody.